Memories. Memories. Yeah. Memories. Memories.
All right, welcome back, everybody. It is week 2 of CGL Season 13, and we've got a pretty good matchup here today in our PC EU Open tier. We got High Voltage versus Exclamation Point Play. Exclamation Point Play at the very least. I don't know much about High Voltage, but I do know that Exclamation Point Play has some pretty good history behind them. I am joined today for this we'll say time crunched stream, potentially some interesting things happening later in the stream, but I'm joined here today for what should be an interesting game with Megalass. How you feeling, Megalass?
I'm feeling great, first cast I get to jump on here for season 13, so super pumped, but of course, there's a lot of factors going into this match, right? You have High Voltage, they came out of last week, they didn't take a map, right? Not the way you want to start your season. On the other end of it, Exclamation Point Play, the perfect start. They 3-0, they're chilling, they have a lot of history with this roster, but as you alluded to, we are on a time crunch, right? As everybody knows and everyone's aware, in about an hour, Overwatch is going to change drastically. We confirmed with both teams when they set this time, and they said, no, we want to play now. So I don't know if somebody intends to 3-0 or if they're just going to roll the dice and see what happens with Season 9, but it's going to be interesting.
It's going to be interesting because, I mean, this is unprecedented. I don't think anything like this has ever happened before. As we're going to take a look at our rosters real quick. I don't think that anything like this has ever happened before in CGL or in any other league. For High Voltage, we've got Rick and Speed on the DPS, Jade Seal on the tank, and Is Jesus and Crow Daddy on the support. And as we get a look at Exclamation Point Play, I mean, this should be a really interesting match. I mean, regardless of what happens.
Absolutely, and Exclamation Point Play, as you said, some recognizable names if you've been around the EU scene. Gio and Muse rocking that DPS line, growing on the tank, just doing the most. I don't think we'll see the Reinhardt, unfortunately, but then Chaba and Panda showing off on that support line. And yeah, this is a team that has an established core. They've played together, so you'd like to think that they're favored, but like you said, this is going to be an unprecedented match if they can't get it done by 2 o'clock.
Speaking of Reinhardt, you said the Reinhardt might not come out. Our first map is Lijiang Tower, which is kind of the home of Reinhardt, especially on Control Center, if they want to bring that out, because I know that Groink really does like the Reinhardt. So I think that could be a good shout there, but I do think at the end of the day, we are still on the Season 8 patch, and Ramatra is still really, really strong. So if anybody's going to run Rush Brawl style compositions, I kind of expect the Ramatra to be the play here for the most part.
Yeah, and I mean, that's, just kind of how Season 8 has gone. The Ramatra has just been so powerful, such an aggressive force with a lot more defensive capabilities, while Reinhardt does have the shield that can definitely provide that sort of relief. Unfortunately, that can be broken, but Ramatra's ability to create space and then also just hold it with his block, as long as you're putting some sort of healing into him, even a Zen Orb, that Ramatra probably will not go down while he's able to block in that Nemesis form.
Yeah, and so much damage. I mean, Ramatra is oppressive at the moment for at least the next hour. And I can't even begin to imagine if we do go over an hour how this is going to go. But we are having some difficulties right now. We are going to head into the game here very soon. And it will be it's going to be on Control Center. Y'all can't see it yet, but we can see it. And you don't know, but we know.
Exactly. And I mean,
I know everything and you know nothing. All right.
Fletch is actually just omnipotent.
I know. I'm all seeing. I'm above the universe. Thank you.
Fletcher can actually predict this series already, but decides not to spoil it for the rest of us mere mortals. Exactly. But here we are. As you said, we're starting on Control Center. This has always been the rush favored point on Lijiang. This is where you run it. And at least sitting in the spawn rooms, we're looking at 2 different variations. Exclamation Point Play, sticking tried and true with the Ramatra, potentially the Junkrat rollout. Meanwhile, High Voltage, they're at least, for the moment, hovering a Junker Queen look, but I don't know if that's going to work so well, especially when you're going to have an Ana that could easily get isolated.
Yeah, it is Twolls right now on the tank and not Groink, so a little bit less surprising once you recognize the fact that Groink is not in, and they're not playing the Reinhardt because of that. And as we get in, Keo, and with the help of the Ravenous Vortex from Twolls, puts Is Jesus down, and Twolls just goes ham on the backline, pummels down two, and tries to finish off Jade Seal, who will just send themselves off the side of the map, or Twolls will get the kill there.
Yes, indeed. And, you know, we're seeing just the power of the Ramadra, right? You have such sustainability, such ability to exist that you're not really scared when you take a little bit of damage, right? Because you know you have that extra form, you know you have your healer support. So High Voltage already going to start off on the back foot here. And they're switching to Hog as a pause hits and a disconnect occurs.
Speed's gone. I'm not sure yet. Oh. Let me just yeah, Speed is gone. I don't remember what they were on the Genji, I think. So it's unfortunate, but I do think, if I am correct, that a disconnect with this code brings the player right back to where they were with the same amount of ult charge, which is cool, I think. But it looks like Speed is back, and we are going to head back into the game.
See, it was actually just a tactical thing from Speed to just delay a tad bit longer to make sure we get over to that 2 o'clock. And we're seeing exclamation point play get picked.
Keo ripping the head off both Kiwi and Jesus. I mean, great shots from the side of exclamation point play, who are, you know, well in the spawn, and Keo is absolutely dominating right now. Another headshot onto Jesus, and they're just gonna have to back out here. Stay alive.
I mean, yeah, but where do you back out? You're in your spawn. There's nowhere to really hide anymore besides the invulnerable spawn doors. And Jesus going down again. This is already looking brutal, Fletch.
Yeah, I mean, Keo is on one right now. Only, like, when it comes to ult charge, Keo undoubtedly is lapping everybody in the lobby and puts Rick down. Keo is on a flank. Jesus is up on the wall, has to be safe here. They know where the Ana's at. Kiwi gonna put Keo to sleep, but, you know, Jade Seal is gone. Jesus pummeled down, and this is looking brutal for High Voltage.
I mean, I know we told exclamation point play that they got to hit the speed run on this one, but I didn't think they'd take it so literally right out the gate here, as High Voltage struggling to leave their own spawn room, trying to figure out a way to make it work, now making a few key switches.
Okay, so Panda is going to use the sound barrier to engage into the spawn, and I mean, this is just domination from start to finish here for exclamation point play. Keo probably sitting at like an 85% railgun accuracy. Twolls pummels down with, you know, 65% accuracy. I don't think anybody's gonna touch here as Twolls punches down. Speed 100-0 for exclamation point play here on Control Center.
I mean, like, there's no words to describe what that was. They won a single fight, claiming the point, and then they just took it to Voltage's spawn, and Voltage wasn't able to find an answer. I'm not trying to nitpick or rag on them too hard here, but I don't think they got in a limb, if I'm not mistaken. I think that they truly just were able to find no purchase of any kind to try to earn their way back into that round.
I mean, exclamation point play showing their contenders level pedigree there with, I mean, Keo and Twolls absolutely just took over that map with the support of everyone else's. Twolls is going to go over to the Doomfist here. He's going to get to the point first. Maybe going to try and find someone to, you know, rocket punch off the side of the map. Someone's going to get hit, but it's a good hook. But unfortunately, the seismic slam was there for Twolls. So staying alive is the Doomfist. And on the off angle, of course, is Keo and Muse, and there you go. Twolls gets their punch. Gonna send Jade Seal flying, and exclamation point play look to, you know, not miss a beat here on map number 2.
Yeah, and it's so odd from Voltage, they kind of just allowed play to sort of set that up over and over again until, as you said, they finally found the punch they were looking for here. Now, it's just sort of a matter of High Voltage, they have to take some sort of agency, find some sort of way into this one, otherwise we could see a disastrous repeat of round one.
Yeah, and smart of them to not go over the bridge again. To be honest with you, I disagree with the idea of going over the bridge to begin with, in the face of a Doomfist and Lucio. So White Room is definitely the play here as Keo is taking some shots, but Twalls is able to find the slam onto Rick. The Doomfist is going to go in here in the hook wide, but right now they're just trying to find these picks, and Speed is able to deflect the grenade back onto Muse to find their first elim, but play, exclamation point play, they just continue to dominate.
And it's just this aggressive tempo that play is setting for the entire lobby. There's just not a lot for High Voltage to do, right? They have to be able to either match the tempo, or with this comp that they're running with the Ana, with the Hog, they have to be able to slow the game down, be able to set up for these picks to come through either with a hook or with some well-timed sticky bombs, and it's just very rough.
Twalls slams in, punches Is Jesus right off the map, and Keo throws out the overclock and gonna find two with it, and at 80%, this is desperation time for High Voltage.
Yeah, I mean, High Voltage, they've got a few ultimates online, but it's going to be about not just using those ultimates, but being able to get somebody on point here, as you're seeing the lamp be used early.
95% and counting. I don't find the ability to touch the point possible here at all. Exclamation point play. No words to describe it other than dominant. I mean, they absolutely just trashed High Voltage on Lijiang Tower.
I want to try to be able to, point towards High Voltage, stuff they did right, stuff they can improve on. There was just nothing. It looks like I'm watching 5 players that were just grouped together in a ranked game for the first time. There's no real synergy. Everyone just kind of clicking a hero to click a hero. And there's not really any answers being provided any which way against just the aggression that exclamation point play is showing.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't really matter what composition exclamation point play were on. I mean, these are 5 contenders level players, right? Exclamation point play has been around. They have played together for a long time. They have that synergy that, High Voltage just didn't have, right? I mean, High Voltage at the end of the day, they need to play together. They let themselves get picked off time after time after time, and maybe it's just, Keo dominating, or Twalls dominating, but you got to figure something out because something is clearly wrong if you can't even leave your spawn.
Yeah, exactly. We can sing the praises of exclamation point play all day long for that, but at the end of the day, if you're the team being kept in spawn, I start to wonder, did people not bring their microphones? Is communication breaking down? Did somebody just have a bad day and they're having to play a match? And, adding to it, of course, this pressure of a literal time clock we have, maybe foolishly they tried to prep for, because I think there was a workshop code for the new patch. Maybe they tried to prep for that, but if you can't get to 2 o'clock, if you're getting rolled so hard, I mean, what do you do?
I don't think anybody was thinking that far ahead. I'm gonna be honest with you. It just seems like exclamation point player the more comfortable team. I mean, I don't really, because if you're gonna play the Roadhog, right, you have to have a plan around it, right? Like we saw in the NA Open Tier Grand Finals last season, right, in the console game where Short Bus, they were playing that Doomfist composition where Necryze was dominating, and Blue Team decided to go the Roadhog, and they had a plan and they played well. It just didn't feel like High Voltage really knew what was going on when they locked the Hog. And we do know what map we are going to next. It is a locked map pool here for week 2. It's going to be Numbani and then Suravasa. So moving forward, I mean, we saw what exclamation point play was able to do on the Doomfist without the support of other dive DPS. I'm really nervous to see what they're going to do with a dive DPS.
Yeah, exactly. Numbani always being a favored dive map. And this is where exclamation point play is going to be able to flex their muscles even more, right? They're able to show their high level of synergy. This is a core that's played together for a bit. They've all gone through the circuit of EU contenders, or at least most of them have. And they've made their own names for themselves there. But, you know, High Voltage, I want to believe that there's something there. I want to believe that something was just magically wrong with map 1 and that they're going to be able to come out swinging, but I don't know. It's just very hard to tell. You know, they're starting on the Junker Queen comp once again, but how long are we saying J Queen before we just see an inevitable hog pick?
I mean, regardless, either one of those compositions, just I don't think is going to cut it against exclamation point play, especially when they are on this Winston. It's just a better composition on this map. Maybe Jade Seal can hit a decent knife every now and then, but I mean, consistency is going to be key if you're going to run a composition like this Junker Queen comp. And Rick is going to have to get so much value on this Echo. You're going to have to, you know, get those stickies reliably stuck and, you know, find the focusing beams, or you're just not going to get anything done, especially with exclamation point play on this Sojourn. So as we get into this first fight on the high ground, High Voltage, they just look indecisive. They don't know what they want, and they've left their Ana out to dry. I mean, Keo is able to snipe down It's Jesus, you know, on the Ana now. You know, obviously had some great aim because they were able to take down, you know, just about everybody on map number 1, and Keo on the Ana continues to be a superstar. No other, no other way to say it.
Yeah, and, you know, you hit the nail on the head. Indecisiveness with this composition. When you're running a Junker Queen, normally you run a Lucio with it because your rotations have to be fast. They have to be perfect. And in this situation, if you're able to rotate as a team, you know, it might just work. You take 1 or 2 speed boost, you'll get to the Ana, at least force her out of position, then take the fight the way you want it. But, you know, again, we're seeing another spawn hold attempt come through here, but Speed actually gets one.
Yeah, a nice little deflect there onto Twals. Speed is able to get the Sojourn down here, but they have lost Jesus here. So their Ana is gone. The dive comes through. Jade Seal went over to the Winston, but I mean, the dive from exclamation point play is just that much better right now. Chava is looking a little bit low. It gets the healing as surely Twals has returned here. Is already pushed back up, and I mean, exclamation point play, you see back there Chaba waiting in the wings, stalking their prey, but Rick is able to find out the Tracer back there. So a great play there from Rick, but Speed is dead. Almost had the Dragon Blade, and Muse is low, or Muse has the Nano, but is not able to get the Ana taken down. Has to pop the Primal Rage. Probably would have died, but the juggle is there to take down the Echo. Sleep comes through on to Muse, but yeah, it's not gonna mean anything as nobody's there to follow up on it, and Jade Seal has to jump back out.
You know, High Voltage, they're finally starting to find purchase, they're finally starting to get picks, but they have to take this fight towards the point. They have the ultimates to do it now. They can create a little bit of space, a little bit of disruption, but if these ults don't find value, they're looking at disastrous first point hold.
Here we go, Tree of Life out to block off Panda and Twirls from Speed on this Genji. Dive comes through, but Panda's gonna be able to take down Jade Seal to sleep from Keo. Keo continues to be not an impact player, but the impact player on exclamation point play. I mean, everything this guy does is correct. As the dive comes through from Muse, I mean, there's just nothing that High Voltage can do. They look better, but it's still not enough.
I mean, yeah, but anything would really look better than that first map here. You just expended 3 ultimates pretty much for nothing, as we're again looking at a first point hold, heading towards that end of this time bank here. Chaba probably going to be able to set up with a pretty nice pulse bomb to end this round out.
Walls sliding up to the high ground, drops down immediately. 43 to a rail. Gonna try and look to take down Rick here, more than likely, but nothing is gonna come out of it. Jade still has to pop the Primal Rage and gets the touch, but Speed is dead. Jesus is gone. Twalls finds the headshot onto Rick. They TP in onto Jade Seal there. It did Kiwi as the Kitsune Rush comes out, but it's just not enough. They can't even quite get the tick. As High Voltage, they falter again. Exclamation point play is oppressive.
Exclamation point play is oppressive, but they're also doing it on what you could argue is not a good comp. Because let's address the elephant in the room. They played a Life Weaver that entire defense, and they weren't punished for it at all, you know? Everyone got to play super aggro. You saw the Sojourn pretty much sitting in the spawn watching everybody, and it's just absolutely ludicrous that High Voltage, you know, they were able to get, I believe it was 2-3 picks throughout that, but they could just never fully outright win a fight. Exclamation point play was always able to stall it out, grind it out in the end, and it's disappointing to see, you know. Maybe if I'm High Voltage, I gotta switch something up. I'm not gonna say it's any one person's fault, but like maybe the Ana hero just isn't for us right now. Maybe that we got to be more mobile. I don't know what it is, but you got to just start throwing stuff at a wall and see what sticks.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to see exclamation point play come out on potentially a Doomfist here. High Voltage, you know, I do think that they definitely looked a lot better than they did on Lijiang Tower. It's still... like I said at the beginning of the map, indecisiveness is their biggest weakness. I mean, I do think that they're probably getting out-mechanicked by exclamation point play, but if you make a decision quick enough, I mean, you can catch them off guard, I think, as we get into this point. A nice headshot from Twalls, 2 in a row to put Jade Seal down, and I mean, that is probably... that's probably the map, to be honest with you, as they are able to take down Muse, but with Kiwi going down and Speed falling next, they only need 33%, and they're going to get it. I mean, exclamation point play is clinical. Putting on a clinic.
Yeah, I mean, there's no other words for it. I think at this point as well, unless I'm crazy, I think they're also just role swapping just freely, just like, hey, you know, everyone can play this, somebody can do that, you know, what have you. But it's just absolutely crazy to see how good this exclamation point play team is. You know, they're not even giving a chance for an opening for High Voltage. And, you know, normally we do take a break here, but like... because we do have the update looming, both teams have pretty much decided, you know what, let's just keep this rolling, because unless something magical happens on our next map, Fletch, I think we can tell where this series is heading.
Unfortunately, I think that's true. Our next map is going to be Suravasa. And, I mean, I think it's going to be more of the brawl that we saw on Lijiang Tower with the Ramatra. High Voltage is just they're gonna have to, like, I just don't know what to say right now, right? This is just complete and utter domination, and at the end of the day, I just think High Voltage, they're getting outskilled, right? Exclamation point play, they've competed at one of the highest levels in Overwatch, right? And High Voltage, you know, I don't know much about them. I think they're just a newer team, unfortunately. Yeah, I mean, looking at their sheet, none of these players have ever been on another team before. So, I mean, this is just pedigree versus the new guys, right? As High Voltage is seeing the wall that looms in front of them, stopping them from the money at the end of the season.
You know, I was going to say, like, it's just... it's an unfortunate matchup to hit early on, and you always want to say, oh, you can learn from a loss. I'm gonna be real. Going back and watching these VODs would be pretty much worthless at this point because it's just such a dominance in every single facet of the game that it's better to just kind of try to go back to fundamentals here. But as we're seeing exclamation point play, I am correct. They are just role swapping freely.
Yeah, and they're able to find It's Jesus back in the back line once again. I mean, they're able to find Chaba a nice hook there onto the Tracer as Muse able to grab the mini and is able to take down Speed. Hook goes wide right for Muse, but I mean, a good fight for High Voltage, but at the end of the day, they just can't get rid of Muse, and the healing is just too much.
Yes, indeed, and so now exclamation point play, they'll be getting the first cap here on Saravasa in this middle point, and at this point we got to start looking at, instead of being like, oh, how does High Voltage win this, somebody get out the rulers and see if this will be the fastest CGL match in history, because this is crazy.
It'll be damn close, to be honest with you, as once again, High Voltage, they're getting pushed back into their own spawn door. Roadhog is antied there. Jade Seal able to stay alive by the skin of their teeth, and Muse, they're on Garden. This point is on market right now. They are in a completely different sector of the map and still winning the game. Twalls, we see a little bit of Boostio action into the Genji, and Twalls, of course, going to be able to take that down with the help of the Nano Boost. And I mean, High Voltage, they just can't get it. They just can't get anything going, right? They're just getting pushed back unrelentingly. Exclamation point play gonna make sure that we don't make it to the patch time here, right? I mean, it's a great flux to stop a touch.
Yeah.
They don't even get there.
And it's just so odd to see, High Voltage, they're playing such individual games, and that's just never going to work on a team that's as coordinated as exclamation point play is. They are very clearly the superiors in this match, so this is where, to try to be the David versus the Goliath, you have to be able to find some sort of advantage. You have to be able to work together, coordinate as a team, because that's where you'll be able to always find your value. Overwatch at its core, still a team game, but High Voltage seems to have just lost the plot.
Chaba on an off angle. I mean, still popping heads right now. Able to find the headshot there on the Jade Seal briefly. Keo is behind High Voltage right now, and I mean, they're not looking. Like, the Sigma is alone, but they're not doing anything about it. Sound barrier comes out from Jesus as I mean, a nice sleep there to deny some of the whole hog from Jade Seal, and the rest there denied by a Chaba headshot as the rally comes out. Kiwi just gives up.
I mean, you can't invest 3 ultimates into a fight and lose the fight. Also, again, we're back in the middle point here. You're just seeing how aggressive exclamation point play is. They're playing with their food at this point. It is what it is, but geez, this is just a brutal match to watch.
Yeah, Muse is able to find Jesus, and it's going to be a solo flux. I'm not real sure that should have picked up Rick there, but it does regardless. And High Voltage, they falter again, and exclamation point play, another 100-0 point as we move to match point, map point here on Saravasa.
They always say there's a light at the end of the tunnel that normally signifies, some sort of, end, some sort of relief. And unfortunately, the only relief that's coming in this series is the end of it. I think this will be our last flashpoint here, unless this Blade and Overclock can find some sort of purchase against this over-aggressive team.
But once again, if they can't leave their spawn, they can't win a point. I mean, exclamation point play has somebody on the point. And, Muse goes down, but it's already done here. This fight is already over, and they're going over to the point, and they're going to capture it. This falls.
Yep, it's just the Lucio just capping the point super quick, and that's going to start the tick up progress, aka the timer for the rest of the match. You'll be able to watch it there on your screens tick up towards the end. But, Speed was... Look at this, you're just chasing the Widow to the complete other side of the map. Finally, you decide, I'm going to go back, I'm going to try to play with my team. And they're just all so discoordinated. Everyone's just everywhere.
They're able to take down Muse again. It's just they are down their their Sojourn, and I mean they need to properly dive if they're gonna dive, right? I mean, here we go. I mean this is coordinated, more coordinated than we've seen them do before. They're all on top. Okay, well Kiwi is left. I thought that they were gonna try to run down Kyo, and they're gonna get a flip here. So High Voltage able to push exclamation point play back for at least a little while, and Jade Seal does have the Primal Rage, and I'm not sure how that hits, but the sleep does come through onto Jade Seal, who is trying to take down somebody back there. The pull comes through, but they're not able to save Jade Seal fast enough. Dragon Blade comes out, Overclock goes down. Speed able to cut down Muse, and Speed is actually going to work here right now. Speed takes down 3 here, and they're not going to let this point go over as Jade Seal returns. They're going to push Q away.
High Voltage in the 12th hour finally realized that they're in a match. Off the back of these phenomenal DPS, Rick getting a lot of picks on the Sojourn and Speed clutching up there. They're now actually in this fight with more support ults than they've ever had to work with.
Here comes the Tactical Visor, and Kiwi decides to face tank the entire thing, and Panda is able to take down 2. Just unfortunate there, as I mean, exclamation point play, they're frustrated that they let up a percentage. So they're going to try and put this away right here, right now, and at 70%, it's going to be rough for High Voltage to touch again.
Yes, indeed. You're probably going to have to see the Winston touch, but you're also seeing play go to the spawn room once again. Oh, Xiaoba already typing GG while dead in the spawn room. That's just BM on another level.
I mean, Twalls is dead, but do they even touch? 98% and counting, there's not going to be a touch. Exclamation point play puts on a clinical Overwatch match here, and start to finish, it was all gas, no brakes. I mean, High Voltage from map number 1 to map number 3, it just got punched in the mouth.
Yeah.
I mean, there was just, it just felt like they, exclamation play could do no wrong.
Yeah, and it just, it kind of sucks when you're on the receiving end of that, but High Voltage, I mean, it took them most of the series, but that last point, they finally came alive for a little bit, right? You saw the DPS hit those shots and pop off exactly when they needed to. It's just, unfortunately, when you're that far in the hole, that far behind against such an aggressive team, it just means that exclamation point play, they knew to tighten it up and they knew to just lock it out.
Yeah, they were doing what we in the industry call a little bit of trolling at the end of that map. Yeah, I mean, what was it? 2-0, 1-0, 3-0, 6-0 on the series for exclamation play. I think that they're frustrated that they even gave up percentage, to be honest with you. I think if that wasn't the fastest match that we've ever streamed, it's because they had to actually kind of lock in for 0.3 on Servasa there on Garden. But yeah, I mean, we won't have to deal with the patch, I guess.
I mean, yeah, I guess that's one way to avoid it. Exclamation point play just decided that they weren't going to have to contend with some sort of game-changing flip. Kind of disappointed. Really was looking forward to that.
I wanted it bad. I wanted it bad.
Would have been. It was going to be so fun, but unfortunately, when a team is just that much better than the other, there's not much you can do about it.
Yeah, I mean, exclamation point play. They have talent. They have history. They have pedigree, and they showed it all off. And I mean, High Voltage came in, probably just a for fun team anyway. A group of friends who have never really competed before, just saw, hey, CGL, maybe win money. I like money. You want to win money? I kind of want to win money. And, at the end of the day, I mean, there are teams in CGL that have made it their life's goal to win that money. And unfortunately, here in week 2, High Voltage ran into one of those teams. I mean, that's just at the end of the day, what time in this game will give you is that ability to just crush people who aren't as good.
Yeah, I mean, there's just nothing much you can do in that situation. Exclamation point play, they're going to be a fun one to watch throughout the season because, as you said, we're only on week 2. Still tons of Overwatch left to play for the rest of the season. And especially with, even though we didn't get to see it today, this looming patch potentially changing the game forever, some might say. So, exclamation point play, like I said, that's going to be a team you want to keep your eye on as we move through the weeks.
Yeah. But unfortunately here, that's going to do it for us today. Exclamation point play, they just dominate. 3-0 over High Voltage. Thank you all for watching, and I'm sorry that we could not get to the patch here at 1 o'clock. I was really hoping for it, and I know Lass was hoping for it, and I think it would have been really interesting. But fortunately, you've got a game tomorrow to watch on this new patch. It's not going to be as funny as someone, switching patches halfway through, but it'll be the new patch. It'll be probably the first official match streamed on the new patch. And it will be Mega Lass, and it should be a fun one to watch tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. So make sure you stick around. Make sure you hit the little heart button down there so you don't miss out on any of the CGL action because we have such a massive season still ahead of us. But other than that, I think that will be it for us here today. Thank you very much and have a wonderful day.